Marquette Law School Poll was released yesterday.
It asked a wide variety of questions, from Governor Tony Evers' agenda to medical marijuana to the shutdown and President Trump's job performance. The director of the Marquette Law School Poll, Charles Franklin, is back with us. Hi, Charles. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Wide-ranging poll.
Yeah, you covered a lot of ground.
A lot of stuff, a lot of things happening right now in the state.
Let's start with Governor Evers' priorities and what the people you polled said about that.
Sure. So we see a variety of things. Some are very strongly in Evers' favor, some are not. So on the withdrawal from the Affordable Care Act lawsuit, 48% favor withdrawing, but 42% don't want to continue the suit, so that's pretty evenly divided. And the partisans are just as split as they can be. 75% of Republicans stay in the suit, 81% of Democrats pull out.
So nothing's changed there.
So nothing's changed. But that's the sort of classic thing. Of course, ACA has been a huge issue since forever, right?
Oh, yeah.
But when we ask about expanding Medicaid, which is part of ACA, we get a big majority, over 60%, want to do that. And even among Republicans, it's evenly divided, 44 in favor of the expansion, 42 opposed. And Democrats and independents are much more positive about it. So there's a case where there's a big majority also in the broad health care policy arena, but a lopsided margin and not nearly as much partisan polarization as we see in the lawsuit question.
How about medical marijuana?
That one's popular these days. 59% support it, and that's up a good deal. When we asked about it in 2014, it was 51% opposed, but now 59% in favor. And it doesn't seem to matter how we ask the question. If we add "and regulated like alcohol," we get almost exactly the same answer. And that's different from the past. So this is an issue that in national polling has seen a real rise in support over the last 10 or 15 years. Here in the state, it's maybe been a little slower to rise, but we really see the rise over the last 3 or 4 years since 2014.
Well, 35 states, I think, have it now.
And this was the same question in national polls.
That's right. This 59% for us is exactly the question that Gallup asked nationally.
And minimum wage?
Minimum wage is pretty popular. People support an increase. And in our question, we say, would you support increasing the minimum wage to make it easier on low-income workers? And other people argue that it would hurt employment. And so we've tried to balance the good and the bad in the minimum wage argument. But we get a pretty solid 55% that support an increase. And that, again, is in line with when we've asked it in the past. So the fact that we've asked it in the past and a majority has supported it, but it hasn't changed, is a good example that public opinion alone doesn't change or create legislation. These things are influenced by different matters, but public opinion is part of the legislative environment, and it's especially part of the next election's environment. And so in that, I think, is the relevance here.
So overall, people are sort of supportive of the new governor for now.
Mostly. Actually, increasing spending for highways is the difficult one. A majority oppose tax increases on gas and registration fees for roads, and that's been that way since we've been asking the question for quite a while. That'll be a heavy lift for the governor and in the assembly, where there's been support for some changes too.
Let's talk about today's headline. Are you surprised by Trump's turnaround? It appears to be a turnaround.
It certainly seems to be, and you know, it's one of those things where the pressure has been building. In our data, only 29% support the shutdown, 66% oppose it, and yet 44% support the wall. So that shows you the gap between 44 and 29, that there are a lot of wall supporters that were also opposed to the shutdown. So it wasn't just the complete Trump coalition behind the shutdown. I think when you saw flight interruptions at LaGuardia today, that seemed to me to be an important moment, because we haven't seen that sort of disruptive effect of the shutdown. And then, of course, yesterday in the Senate vote, 6 Republicans crossed over to vote for the Democratic proposal. Wasn't enough to pass it, but it certainly showed the pressure within the Republican Senate caucus to begin to break with the president.
We have 3 more weeks to get this sorted out before...
Right. And we can do it again.
Do it again. All right, Charles, thank you. You've had a busy week. Enjoy your weekend.
I'm going home to nap a little bit. Thank you much.
Good to see you.
We'll be right back with